Happy Valentine's Day to you.
Thank you.
Listen, I have been the singles coach here in Indianapolis since 1995 and have had over 1,000 single people. And I say grown-up singles, I'm talking about people who are 40 plus, not the 20 and 30-year-olds, which is what most people think of when they think of singles. And of those 1,000 plus people who've been my students and clients through the years, there are hundreds and hundreds of them that are currently married, permanently partnered, or in the best relationship they ever have. And I must say that I have tried through the years to leave the single scene and work in another area as a counselor. I even took a job at a full-time job at an agency for 5 years, and last fall had to make a choice, and guess where I wound up? Back in the singles arena full-time. I love working with single people. Why? Because they need me. They need what I have to offer them. Information and encouragement, and being willing to be with them through thick and thin. So that's kind of why I do what I do. Oh, and let me tell you, Dr. Chernoff, I can't see you through the lights. There you are. Hi. I am married to a Canadian. And I can tell you the answer to why they fly below the radar and why we don't notice them. That's how they like it. I remember I had my office in a large executive suite where there were, 60 offices and 50 different companies. And in the kitchen one day, I was chatting with this man and found out that his company is headquartered somewhere in Canada. And he made this profound statement. He said, "I like Canadians. They don't take themselves too seriously." Yeah, they fly below the radar. And in our household, one of our pastimes is buying an item, buying a product, maybe a food item or a healthcare product or something like this, and turning it over and looking, oh, this is made in Canada. And when there's a particular artist that we like or personality that we kind of groove to, Jim will say, oh, they're from Canada. Yeah, so I do appreciate Canada and Canadians. So anyway, so you want to hear some stories about single people?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking today that I was supposed to give you some information. I wasn't thinking about that I was supposed to tell stories, but I love stories. So here we go. I think what people need who are single today to find love in the right way, hope, heart, and know-how. Hope, heart, and know-how. Let me tell you the story about a friend. I'm going to call her Cindy. That's not her real name. Cindy came to me, referred by her therapist, just out of a very, very, very abusive marriage, and sure that she was never going to go down that road again. But he said, no, it's time for you to start dating. And he pushed on her and pushed on her. She finally gave in, came to my class. And when she did, the first night, somewhere along the way, I made a comment of, I believe that things work better if a man initiates the first 3 dates. And I, gave the rationale for that. Yeah, it's true. It works better if he initiates the first 3 dates. And afterwards, she told me that made all the difference in the world. I thought you were going to tell me this is the 1990s and I'm going to have to ask a man out. And she thought, once I knew I didn't have to, because I didn't want to, she said I could stay. And she went on, finished the course, got online, loved AOL, and met Mr. Right, fell in love. They were married, I'm thinking a year and a half, maybe it was 3 years later. Anyway, they were married, and perfect. I mean, when she talks about their relationship to me, I always get chills. Their relationship was unbelievably wonderful, and all of the serendipities that they had before they ever met, just spine-tingling. And they had the best marriage, the best relationship, and about 3.5 years into their marriage, he developed a brain tumor. It was inoperable. He had many, many surgeries and treatments and so forth of the best kind for about another 1.5 years, and then he passed away. Now that was more than 5 years ago now, and guess what? Cindy is still looking forward to finding another mate. Talk about having hope. Yeah, she has hope. Another ingredient for finding love in the right place is heart. And by heart, you know, think about, well, I don't have the heart for that, or my heart isn't in it. Heart is about courage and doing something maybe that you haven't done before. I remember this woman, she was a professional musician with one of the big organizations around here, and in her mid-30s, and pretty introverted, pretty proper, and she said to me at the end of our 16-week course, "Thank you so much for all I learned. I do know that I will not be using the online dating service information. I just find online dating too distasteful." You know what happened? A couple weeks later, she got onto the internet. She happened to go to Match.com. That's back in the days when it was a good place for singles to go. And within 2 weeks, she met Mr. Right and she married him. And you know, she's living happily ever after. So that was because she had the heart, she had the courage to do something that she didn't think that she wanted to do. And then finally, I wanted to tell you the next thing we need is the knowledge to do this. And I want to tell you about Jack. That's not his name. And he's a tall, dark, handsome, sharp as a tack, quirky as hell engineer. And he was single for a long, long time. Let's say decades. And he kept trying this and he was trying that and this and that. And he had a 1-year relationship here and another 1-year relationship here, but he didn't find who he was looking for. Well, I began writing about eHarmony, eHarmony.com. I had a lot of close contacts with higher levels of that company and found that they were just so high on integrity. It's built into their system. And that it was such a good model for helping people find each other, that I began writing columns and articles about it, and Jack was getting my columns. And so he called me one day, and I hadn't heard from him for a while. "Hey, Amy, I just thought I would call you and let you know. I just had my 6th date." He rarely went past the 2nd one. I just had my 6th date with a woman that I think has long-term potential for me. I'm going to play it out and see how it goes. And I think you would be very, very interested to know that I was in my 14th month of eHarmony membership. Mind you, I had been saying, join eHarmony for at least a year if you're going to do it. I was in my 14th month of eHarmony membership, and she was in her 1st. And the way that story ended, anybody want to know? Sure, okay. They did it for about 18 months, and they got married, and that was about 3 years ago. So those are some of my stories, is you have to have heart and hope and know-how to find Mr. or Ms. Right in this day and age. I wish you all a happy Valentine's Day.